we get started, I have a couple true-false questions up here. True or false? Congruent triangles always have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. False. Good. If all three sides of one triangle are congruent to all three sides of a second triangle, are these triangles always congruent or never congruent? Always congruent. Okay, we're going to use sign language here. It's multiple choice. This is A in sign language. This is B. This is C. And this is D. So, using your multiple choice here, how would you say these triangles are congruent? Is it A? Is it B? C? Or D? Sign language means you don't talk. Good, you should have D. That's angle, side, angle. The side is between the two angles. Same thing. Are these two triangles congruent by A, side, 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 B, side, angle, side, C, angle, angle, side, or D, angle, side, angle? This is a B. Good job. All right, so today we're going to learn an acronym. The acronym is CPCTC. And it stands for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Today you're going to prove that parts of triangles are congruent. But before you can prove that parts of triangles are congruent, you have to prove that the two triangles are congruent. So we're still proving triangles are congruent. Okay? You have 4 ways to do that. They're over on the sideboard on that handmade poster, but they're also listed here on your notes. Side, 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 angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. We haven't done HL yet, so we're just going to ignore it for now. Okay? Those are the 4 ways that you prove that two triangles are congruent. CPCTC is to prove that parts of the triangles are congruent. So you should never have something like this in your proofs. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ by CPCTC. No. This statement should never be followed by this acronym. It needs to be followed by one of the 4 that you know how to prove triangles congruent. Okay? Thumbs up. Good job. First one. Given SL is congruent to SR, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, we're going to try and prove that angle 3 and 4 are congruent. So our first step of a proof is to do what? Yeah, write the given down. Good. And after we write the given, then what do? Mark the picture. SL congruent to SR. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. We're trying to prove that 3 and 4 are congruent angles. So we're trying to prove that parts of the triangles are congruent. Before I can prove that parts are congruent, what do I have to prove about the two triangles? That the triangles are congruent. So we have to figure out if these two triangles are going to be congruent. What do you know, Ben? CS, what about it? Good. By what, sorry? Awesome. So step 2, CS is congruent to CS itself by the reflexive property. Emma, would that be enough to say that the two triangles are congruent? Which of our 4 ways? Good. Side, angle, side. Over here, we have to make sure we line these up correctly. So if I say triangle CLS, then it needs to be followed by what? CRS. Since the two triangles are congruent, all their corresponding parts are. So angle 3 corresponds with which angle? Angle 4. So we'll say angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. And our reason, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. Ben. That's all we're doing today, adding 1 step. Yeah, you have to be careful. Maybe it might say that prove that CS is a bisector, so you might have to do 1 more thing. But if it's ending on like proving angles congruent, then yeah, we just add 1 step. Okay. What do you mean? It depends on what they want us to prove. Jack, some of them will be as simple as this. Some of them might be a little more thought-provoking. Okay, let's go to 2. First step, given. I think most of you have it written down, but if you don't, write your given down for number 2. After we write the given, what do we do then? Mark your picture. Angle Q congruent to angle R. Angle QPS is congruent to RSP. Make sure you use different number of curves then on the second pair of angles. Because if you use one curve for all 4, then you're telling me all 4 of them are congruent, but we don't know that. We just know 2 pairs. We want to prove that SQ, the right side of the quad, is congruent to PR, the left side. Or we could say the right side of one triangle congruent to the left side of another triangle. So we're trying to prove that parts of the triangles are congruent. But before I can prove that the parts are congruent, what do I have to prove about the 2 triangles? They're congruent. Okay, what else do we need to prove, Maddie, that the triangles are congruent? PS is congruent to itself. Maddie, what's that property? Good. Kilgore, would that be enough to say the triangles are congruent? Which of our 4 ways? Awesome. Angle, angle, side. Oh, if I say triangle PRS, then what should I follow it up with? Careful. Good. Angle P in this first triangle is congruent to angle S. Those are the unmarked ones. So then we'd want to say SQP. Since the 2 triangles are congruent, all their corresponding parts are. So for 4, SQ is congruent to PR because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. And you can see that in step 3. If we look at our congruency statement, all the corresponding parts line up. PR went with SQ. Those segments have to be congruent. When you write your congruency statement correctly, then you know which parts correspond. Questions on the first 2? Okay, flip it over and do the next 2. After you have your given written, then when you mark it, angle CAM would be this guy, congruent to BAM, the one adjacent to it. And then angle BMA is congruent to angle CMA. So there's your given. What else do we know? AM is congruent to itself by what? By what? Reflexive. Val, how would these 2 triangles be congruent then? Which of our? Good. ACM would be congruent to ABM by angle, side angle. Then for step 4, angle B is congruent to angle C because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Boom. We're good on 3? Okay, 4. Angle Q is congruent to angle S. UR is congruent to UT. There's our given. What else do we know? Vertical angles, good. And remember, you want to use 3 letters to name these. So angle RUQ is congruent to angle TUS by the vertical angles theorem. Then triangle RUQ would be congruent to triangle TUS by which of our 4 ways, Sid? Good. This guy would be angle, angle, side because the side's not between them. And then therefore UQ is congruent to US because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Questions? Cool.